Hey, welcome to Combat Vet Vision. This is a platform for our veterans, our sponsors, our sporters, our volunteers, our combat vets, and those that just really want to be involved, businesses that have been involved. And there's like always some really incredible things going on. Chef JB is not here with us today. Apologize for that because it's always good to have him on deck. We do have Brian with feed drops in the background here coming at the end of the show to kind of analyze and decide what I need to do to change up and make some changes to make things happen. And I got Ed McLean on deck today, United States Air Force vet, race car extraordinaire. Racing is his life and doing a whole bunch of things. He spent some time in the Air Force, and we're going to get into his story. We're going to talk about his transition and a whole bunch of other things and his programs too. He's got some really amazing programs. And like I said, if you're a nonprofit organization, you get on this show, talk about what you're doing and some other things that are super important for our veteran community. I think that's important. Ed, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thanks very much.
Coming all the way from the East Coast where there might be a storm. So if we lose him, it's because the storm cut out the electricity and he's on battery. So we'll lose sound, but he'll still have some capability. We'll see how that works out. Ed, thanks for being here. Thanks for, being a veteran that's just trying to make some things happen. You obviously have some really awesome programs behind your belt, and you're doing a lot of really good things for our veteran community in so many different ways. But let's dive into the beginning of your story, why you joined, and before you joined, and talk about what inspired you and all the inspiration between that and getting into the Air Force.
Yeah, I actually grew up in Maine, in the southern part of Maine, and to go tie in the motorsport piece, I grew up in a racing family. My dad, my grandfather, my uncles all raced British sports cars, did a lot of hill climbs, did track racing, did autocrossing, you name it, they had their hand in it. And so that, obviously trickled down to me and what I wanted to get involved in. I also, growing up, first of all, my dad told me flat out, you're not going to race until you graduate high school. He thought it would be too much of a distraction. So I did a lot of scouting growing up, did the whole, Eagle Scout thing. And after that, I transitioned over to the Civil Air Patrol and did that for a number of years with the local squadron. And that kind of gave me the taste for the Air Force, at least a little bit about what it might be like. So went to college locally. Actually, entered the this was about the time for the Iraq War and that kind of thing. 91 is when I came in November of 91. And went actually enlisted. I was gullible enough to listen to a recruiter who said it was easier to become an officer from the inside. And so I enlisted, and I tell you, it probably was one of the best things I ever did. It showed me what it was like. I think, later on when I got my commission, I think it made me a better officer because I knew what it was like to be lower enlisted. And I absolutely fell in love with the job, though. I was a cryptologic linguist, airborne cryptologic linguist. Loved that job. Really got into the computers and that kind of thing, and controlling that side of it. They ended up sharing me out to E3 AWACS crew that ended up over in Southern Watch, and so ended up flying over there. And that was an eye-opening experience, just seeing the culture. We were that's back when we were out of Escon Village over there, just outside of Riyadh. So that was really, if you're going to be deployed, that's where you want to be, I guess. So
right.
Did that. not long after that, ended up doing bootstrap, and got my commission. Came out of that as an Intel officer. Did a total of 10 years. Started to have some health issues, and I felt like I wanted to leave on my own terms. So I resigned my commission and ended up becoming an Air Force civilian as a Fed. And it was my getting the Fed position was kind of mixed emotion, I guess, because when I first was getting ready to come off of active duty, I was struggling to find anything. It was extremely difficult. That just trying to make the translation between what my training was in and what it was in the civilian world was really, really difficult. I had some instructor time when I was an officer, so I had the teaching practicum and everything, and so I had found a position where I would be really good fit, but it just couldn't make the translation across between what I was doing on active duty and that civilian world, and so that was difficult. And then I was actually scheduled to get out in October 2001. So 9/11 happened, and I got stop lost for a year, and that actually, despite it being a horrible situation, that kind of saved me because it gave me an extra year to find a position. And that's how I ended up becoming a Air Force Fed, was because of that. To rewind a little bit, by the way, when I was still enlisted, a friend of mine had transitioned out, and he went through the same issues. He couldn't find a position. He had plans to become a pilot. I want to be an airline pilot. Transitioned out, tried to get into the schools and whatnot, and found it extremely difficult. Couldn't get into the schools that he wanted to. Ended up having marital problems, none of which he was conveying to me, and he ended up taking his own life. And that's really probably one of the biggest reasons why I created the Warriors2Racers program. Was I was kind of fast forward here now to November of 21. I had actually been working with a couple of different veteran organizations trying to get veterans involved with motorsport, and had gotten some crew members or some veterans involved as crew on some endurance race teams. And they were attracting a lot of attention because all the crews needed help, and we were bringing them in, we were training them up, and they were good. One guy in particular. And so in November of 21, a team owner approached me and said, "Hey, I'd like to set up an all-veteran team. What do you think?" And I was like, "Hey, that's a great idea." So put out the feeler for people to join as drivers and crew, and quickly realized that there were a lot of people who wanted to do it, but nobody had any experience or training to do it. And so, not wanting to turn anybody away, that's when I decided that I would take, I've had all these years of experience with racing, because I've been racing since 87 at this point, that I would take all those years of experience of learning how to go through the different types of racing and how to get involved and my contacts with the sport to help these veterans who wanted to do that and need it, but would also have a support network of the fellow veteran brothers and sisters on the same team, so we could all work together and support each other and learn the skills to drive and to be on crew. And I don't feel I'm being very eloquent with this.
Hey, you know what? It's good because I know how important it is to have the camaraderie there, and being able to talk about the issues. And so, like you said, your buddy didn't explain to you anything that was going on in his life, and he took his life. So you're inspired to take on this challenge of forming an awesome organization and start moving forward with these guys. You took your experience and helped train these guys, did some incredible things. And, and how is that going now? And do you have a formal type training for these guys at this point? And obviously so many tracks, right? When you talk about racing, so many races across the United States. And like you talked to me before, you have guys that want to get involved in the off-road stuff and Warrior Built. It's not about winning the race for Warrior Built. It's about finishing the mission or handing the car off to the next person, because the experience isn't there. We don't have a lot of experience, but it's great. It's like a field op. You're going to go do this mission. So it gives you that too. And go ahead, continue your story. You're doing great, man.
There's actually, Warriors2Racers originally started off as a driver development program and a crew development program. Veterans could do either or both. The driver development program starts folks off, with really easy stuff with not much expense involved at all, because you only need a motorsport helmet to do the type of stuff that we're talking about, which is we start off with autocrossing to learn how to handle the car. Then we progress to what's called track cross, which is usually like about half of a lap of a racetrack that's set up with a timer. So you have a little bit wider line that you can go through. Then we do what's called the high performance driver education, or HPDE, which is the only non-competitive part of the program. We use that for situational awareness because there are different cars on the track at the same time. You need to be able to know, because when we get to endurance racing, there is always different classes that you're running against. So not only the class you're in, but other classes as well. And where we're a training platform, we target the slowest class because we figure that it's fast enough to get in there and learn how to drive and that kind of thing and have some fun at it, but it's also not so fast you're going to get into big trouble. But that being said, you need to really know what's going on around you, so that you don't get swallowed by a class car that's 4 classes above you. You don't want to become a bug on their windshield on the way by.
That's right. That's why the way Baja is set up, the motorcycles go, then you got all these different classes that go, and the last class is the trophy trucks, and those trophy trucks are coming to hunt you down. And when you're on that road and you're like, hey, 20, almost halfway through it, you start looking in your back for the trophy trucks. They were released maybe hours and hours after, but they're coming. And so that's why he's talking about the classes, multiple different things on the track, but they're released at different times. It's all timed, but some of these classes are going to catch up to you. Yeah. And you have to have that situational awareness so that you don't hit somebody that's in front of you. You got to be aware. And for the classes that are slow, you got to look behind you to make sure you're not going to get a bug on a windshield kind of deal. Yeah.
So, so after they go through the HPDE part, it's straight into the endurance racing level, obviously at the amateur level. We do focus on endurance racing primarily because it does require a team. You have to have crew. You have to have at least 2 drivers. We try to target about 4 drivers at least for an event. And about the shortest actual race that we're doing is 8 hours. And we're doing that over our 2 8-hour events plus usually a 2 to 3 hour qualifying race. So you're talking about basically 18, 19 hours worth of racing on over the course of a weekend, split between 3 to 4 individuals driving it. And then, of course, you have the failures and stuff that you're relying on the crew to repair the car and that kind of thing just to survive. And so there's a lot of reliance on each other during the event. And so, yeah, it really, that camaraderie of the from the veterans really, it helps in that situation because, we're all used to operating under a stressful environment. And you can tell when the veterans are running, it's they behave differently than the other crews. It's like a switch is thrown and they are back on that team and making sure the mission gets done. And our last race that we had was American Endurance Racing event at Summit Point, West Virginia. We actually only had a team of 3 drivers for that. And we ended up qualifying 3rd. And then we didn't do very well on Saturday, but on Sunday we came in 2nd. And based on the points for the weekend, we ended up taking 2nd overall for our class, which was really great. These guys are coming together for the first time. It's not like we've been, racing with each other for a long time. This is a group of people. This is the first time working together, and they're able to pull together a result like that.
And when you talk about your class, I mean, how many classes of possibilities for these veterans is there? And your specific class, which class is that?
In American Endurance Racing, for that particular weekend, there was 5 classes. I think they didn't have any class 5 cars, if I remember right. So really 4 classes. We're running in class 1 with a 1990 Miata, the little 1.6 liter. So the early Miata with the smaller engine, handles amazing. All the drivers were just thinking it was great to be out there with it. But it just didn't have any go. So
right. That's like the class 11 for Warrior. And we went with that. Because it's kind of like the safest class, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
When you got veterans, they'll take it to its maximum capability.
Yeah.
Because we're geared for that. And it's so it's good that you start off with class 1. Yeah.
But we do have other teams that we work with if they want to progress to a faster team. After a veteran gets all the way through our driver development program and they want to drive for a faster team, we vet them so that they can go, okay, I want to go to class 2 now. There's a couple of different class 2 teams that we work with a lot. And I actually go to the team owners and go, hey, look, this veteran has this experience. They're pretty darn good. These are maybe some faults to watch for, but overall, you can't go wrong by bringing them onto your team for an event, and that's really the way it progresses. One of the things too that I do have people ask, do we run I don't know if you're familiar with the 24 hours of lemons?
Right.
We attempted that once, and we won't go back. Mainly because that is a lot of people who aren't very experienced in racing go there, and they don't I'm not saying universally, but at least the crew that we were with, at that particular event, you could tell the racecraft wasn't there. And when you're trying to instruct, proper racecraft, proper line, where you need to position yourself during an overtake and that kind of thing, a lot of the crazier things that happened in that Lemons event made it so that it was not a good environment to teach. And so we'll do Champ Car and we'll do American Endurance Racing. I've heard good things about the Lucky Dog series, as well as the Northeast GT series. So those are the series that we would be running in addition to Champ Car and AER. But for the most part, we're trying to find the series where the racers are a bit more serious, if you will, and so that we can actually train someone to drive.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, because you can develop, and that's the thing, you can develop some really bad habits racing in races that aren't very controlled, and it's so important. Do you guys, for a veteran to be involved, what's the cost, and do they start as pit crew developers and then move into the seat eventually if that's where they want to go? You don't just put somebody in the seat right away, is that correct?
Well, it depends. Honestly, everything is done on a case-by-case basis because I've had guys come in that have been to race schools. They've got some races under their belt already, and so we're able to put them right in the seat.
That makes sense.
But if it's someone that comes in with zero experience, it starts off more as a coaching piece, unless they happen to be in the Virginia area or surrounding states area. We do have Warrior2Racer vehicles that we can bring out, so that they don't have to worry about damaging their own car or whatnot. But we start them off with autocrossing, which is very inexpensive. It's usually $50 to $65 entry fee, and you need to have a Snell approved Motorsport helmet,
which can be pretty pricey. Yeah,
could be, but you can get them usually down around $250 all the way up to $2,000. So it's
correct. Yep.
It just really depends on what the individual wants. And then in those events, you can use your own street vehicle without modification. There's nothing that's special that's needed. So that's kind of where we start off. We do to participate in the to get back to what you're saying, they don't have to crew if they don't want to. Crewing is a lot easier because there's always a demand signal there from the teams that they need people. And what we do is we take the first day of the event and we train the crew right there on site. So you're at the track, you learn everything you need to do for the day, run through it a few times, and you're pretty much good to go. The actual turning of the wrenches and stuff I'll get to here in a little bit with the Veterans Motorsport Training Center. But the to drive, because that's kind of more of the shiny candy-like button that everybody wants to push. And if you don't want to crew, you don't have to.
That makes sense.
Once you get up to the endurance race level, we usually will train the drivers to how to refuel the car, because there's actually a way to do it. We have two cars that are prepared. One's a BMW 325 IS. The other one is the Miata. Miata's got a dry brake system on it, so you need to know how to actually use the dry brake and that kind of thing. So they need to know that in case we're running short on crew. We can fall back on that, but they don't have to learn crewing, but it's helpful. The Veteran Motorsport Training Center, which I alluded to, That's a brand new program that Warriors2Racers is setting up with Josh White Racing out of Cabin Creek, West Virginia. Josh
And
White,
we had Josh White out on the show last week. So if you need to refer to him
yeah,
and see his program stuff, check out last week's show, which was
yeah.
episode 301.
He had actually reached out to me after we formed our partnership and said, "Hey, I got an idea about setting up a school," and I was like, "Well, you know, instructional system and development dude here, I can do that." And so the Veterans Motorsport Training Center is actually being set up as a separate entity, so it is going to be its own thing. I've set up the initially it was going to be kind of just a straight partnership between the two organizations, but it was becoming too cumbersome. That's why we decided to make it its own thing. But basically, we wrote all the lesson plans and everything for ASC certification at the maintenance and light repair level. And we're working with Josh White Racing on some race car fabrication and setup classes. So hopefully we'll have some welding certifications brought on board. All the classroom stuff is handled online for that, as well as there's also some online portions of the Warrior to Racer driver development program that's on there. So yeah, basically, if you want to go into the career field, and veterans are given the priority and discounts to attend this school, and we're working with we actually have a VA administrator that is helping us to set up the program to make sure that we're hitting all the VA wickets, so that once we're a full up round, we'll be able to accept things like GI Bill and stuff, so it doesn't cost the veteran anything to attend. The hands-on facility is going to be initially at the Josh White Racing headquarters in Cabin Creek, West Virginia, with a focus on NASCAR and ARCA cars. We're already in talks with 2 other locations. One's in Western New York, focusing on rally cars in a larger facility. And then a third facility that we're looking at, that we're in talks with, is in Eastern Ohio, with a focus on motorcycles. So where there'll be motorcycle mechanic certifications that come out of that. If all goes well, probably talking in another 3 years or so, we'd really like to open another facility here in Virginia, and mainly because there's so many veterans and military members in this area in Northern Virginia. So it's just a good area that has something like that. We're also, because of the relationship with the race teams and other veteran organizations that we have in place, and even tracks, we're already starting to set up internships and apprenticeships to help, pad that resume, so that if a veteran wants to come out to transition into being an automotive technician or go work on a race team, they'll be able to go through the mechanics training, the SE certification training, and then go into an internship or an apprenticeship at a track or with a race team or at an OEM shop, what have you. And it's kind of like a try before you buy type of a situation for these organizations, so they can see how that individual is, and they're very likely apt to get a job coming right out of that internship, particularly where right now there is a very high demand signal right now for ASC certified mechanics in general. I believe as of last month, there was something in the neighborhood of 75,000 vacant positions for mechanics that are in the U.S. right now. It's becoming a real issue to get these positions filled. So it's kind of a good time to make a move into that area.
Definitely. So when you have these guys come, are most of them local around the area, or do you have a program that that funds them to come in for the races, or do they have to come in with their own money, hotel wise and whatnot? What does that look like?
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is that well, Warriors2Racers is a completely all volunteer organization, and we don't usually get a whole lot of funding. So the unfortunate thing is a lot of the travel expenses in particular are borne by the veteran when they come in with us. I'd love to have that not be the case. There are a couple of our partner programs where they are able to pay for the racing for the veteran 100%. Then it's just travel coming in. We do have another partner program that has a 3-day race camp called the Veterans Trust out of Florida that we're working with basically as a follow-on program to their race camp. They'll come into Warriors2Racers if they want to continue on. Their program is focused on guys and gals that have PTS. First day is on a race simulator. Second day is a ride along. And then the third day is that HPDE or high performance driver education piece. And then if they're again interested, then they'd come into the Warrior2Racer program and continue on their development. That program actually they put on like biosensors and that kind of thing. So that counselors can sit down and watch the veteran and say, okay, that feeling that you're getting, that concentration you're getting, all your stress levels have dropped because you're concentrating on this, and help them leverage that to handle their PTS symptoms in the future. We're actually trying to get the same simulators brought out to one out to the facility at Josh White Racing, and another one that we would like to get in a trailer platform so that we can hit multiple veteran organizations and counselors in the Virginia area and West Virginia and local states, so that they can leverage that as well. In addition, one of the cool things about the cars that we have is we have live broadcast capability from the car. So, and we're not using all of the bandwidth. So what we'd like to do is get those biofeedback sensors in the car so that a counselor could be at the track and actually see what the veteran is going through live in the race car and see what's going on. One thing I forgot to mention too, if endurance racing is not where they want to end their progression in motorsport, because of the relationships with other veteran organizations and that whole vetting process that we have, we're starting to get that relationship going of, okay, this person has gone through, they've got, however many events, wheel-to-wheel racing and endurance. Let's see if they could transition maybe over to maybe dirt oval with NASCAR or ARCA, or do an off-road event, or go to a rally and at co-drive or drive and see where it can progress. I didn't get into it before, but once upon a time I had a pro license and was running formula cars and stuff when I was over in Europe. But so I know the process of how to get fully licensed if you want to get to that point. So if you want to continue on beyond the American Endurance Racing level or get licensed to do another program, I can usually guide you pretty well as to where you need to go to get a license to do whatever you want. So a lot of it is really just understanding and knowing what to do when and what you really need to spend money on and what you don't. I've seen an awful lot of people come in and go, I'm going to go racing. And then they, go out and they buy the racing suit and the gloves and the shoes and the helmet and they set up their car and they put in a roll cage only to find out that a roll cage does not meet the specifications for the series they were going to run. And, or they decide that, they want to just dive into this event and they're not qualified to do it. They need to go back and do more training. And it's just, when in reality, to get your feet wet in motorsport, it's a helmet. It's a helmet, and you could use your daily driver if you really wanted to do it. It is not. I'm not saying that racing is not expensive, because racing is expensive. When you actually start doing wheel to wheel and you have to have the full kit and all that, yes, it's expensive. But when you are just getting started, no, you don't need to shell out a whole ton of money to get started. And that's really been what a lot of the Warrior2Racer program has been just telling guys, don't spend that money yet. Don't go buy all that safety equipment, because that safety equipment is perishable. Some of them have certifications.
And it expires.
Yeah.
There's an expiration date on it.
Yeah. So don't buy it till you have to. And, and just kind of guiding them that way as to where they need to go.
Well, I think this is such an important part that you're talking about is, understanding that if you want to get into racing, Ed McLean has a way to do it. He's got the expertise. And I know you didn't get into it too much in your transition, but I think you were going to, you finally got to the point where you started this on your own and you wanted to have a racing deal. But it's so hard during the transition to find what direction you want to go. Obviously what we do in the military doesn't always translate into civilian life the way that we would think it would, or, it's not as easy as everyone thinks, from a looking from 1,000 miles away. But when you get down into the nitty gritty, the connecting points usually have to be somebody from who and the directions that you want to go. And like you're saying, don't spend a lot of money, but Warriors2Racers will help you navigate that step into the racing industry that you want to go. Getting into Miata maybe doesn't sound as cool as you think it is at a 1.2 liter.
Okay, 1.6.
1.6 liter. All right, I'm not going to slow it down any more than it has to. But you're talking about or the Class 11 bug that Warrior Build does. These things are just stepping stones into get your feet wet, get a taste of it, feel what you want to do, and then figure out the direction. But it's guys like you, Ed, that's going to have the expertise to kind of navigate the systems, and that's where you're at in these programs. And then the class developmental thing, with Josh White Racing, that's going to be a super important part. He's in with NASCAR. I know they got some NASCAR teams they're wanting to put together a 10 racers into NASCAR and doing all these things. But it's like finding the right fit for you on your pathway. And I think that's the biggest important thing, because we don't want to end up losing any more vets than we have to. But you might as well, if you want to isolate, you might as well isolate in the focus of helping put this car together, get behind the wheel. And like you said, the sensors are monitoring that for specific purposes. I think those are super awesome. And your thought process on it is super cool. Obviously there's a lot of things to map out here. And there's a lot of questions that could form. There's a lot of vets that may be interested in wanting to find you, and we'll get into that too. But just any final words on this, and I'd love to bring you back, Ed, talk about throw your foundations out there, throw your information out there. Vets that want to race. I mean, this is so cool, and he's a vet and he's dealt with stuff. He lost his buddy. He's dealt with his own PTS and trying to navigate the systems of transition into what he wants to do. And I think I think when you find your niche, it really feels good to be able to help others. And like you said, you want to do it safely, and you don't want to go to the lemons race and, just watch a bunch of guys fumble and bubble around and push the car as fast as they can. And then hit, it's not a safe environment necessarily. It's not a place where you could really teach and learn something. Right. But in your environment, you've already navigated that out. You got the map. And I think that's really cool. I do so much with racing on a whole bunch of different levels, but it's great to know these connecting pieces. And feel free to add any final words and add some stuff to it.
Yeah. You don't have to be, big into cars or want to drive the car or want to work on the car or anything to participate either. The main thing is getting together with the team. You're going to find, particularly when we get together, it becomes a pretty high speed, low drag group of individuals. And if say you don't want to touch the car, come on out and, shuttle stuff back and forth between the paddock and the pit for us. That's really needed. Say you like to grill, come out and grill and cook the food for these veterans. We need that. It is not just, coming out and wrenching on the car or driving the car or whatever. There's a very large support network there as well. So if you just want to come out and be with a bunch of, your brothers and sisters, come on out. Even if you're not a veteran, we have a volunteer membership too. You can just volunteer, get your name on a list, and you can see everything that's going on, what's coming up, and you can come out as a volunteer even if you're not a veteran. So, just get involved. If you and to get to that point, if you want to participate in the driver and crew development program, or just come out and support these veterans at the track, our website is Warriors2Racers.org. Or you can reach out to me directly at info@Warriors2Racers.org. And then the Veterans Motorsport Training Center, if you want to go there and sign up, there's a bunch of free courses that are available out there. Anyone can sign up for those courses too online. There's paid and free courses that are open to anybody. That's VMTC, that's Victor Mike Tango Charlie at thinkific.com. That opens a lot of doors on the mechanical side and that kind of thing. You can kind of try before you buy the full thing at least. If you're a veteran though, please don't go straight to VMTC and buy those programs, because we have discounts and a whole bunch of other things through Warriors2Racers that are built into VMTC. So the prices that you're seeing, that's the general public price. So if you're a veteran, reach out and we can get you the discounted price for the ASE certification programs. All the driver stuff is free to Warrior2Racer full members. And so, reach out before you go there and start signing up for courses, in other words. But yeah, there's just lots there to offer. If you're interested in becoming a mechanic, full-blown mechanic, the certification program is there. And the cool thing is we can get you in with these racers, these race teams too, so you can actually get hands-on to the race cars and work on some pretty interesting vehicles other than, the Corolla that you see rolling down the street. So
that's right. And let's not forget the paddock build. Sometimes we need guys to build the paddock, and that takes some time. So laying down the Swiss track and all the other stuff that we got to do. So it's always an important part, building a tent off the semi trucks. So that's always a big it's always a big project. Everybody, all hands are used for that. But then you get into the car stuff, and there's so many other cool things that to be involved. Ed, thanks a lot for being on the show. Any last words?
No, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. I hope I didn't ramble too much.
No, it's hey, great information. One thing I just want to say, your program is developed in a way that you can develop it, right? You're on this pathway. I know I asked you, how much does it cost for the vet? obviously, $60 to $80 to get in behind a car for a couple laps is pretty amazing price, right?
Yeah.
And I know the organization is probably not big enough to handle, taking, where can we get funding to, put these guys up in hotels and this and that. If you're an organization that's providing that, I think it's really, I think these are kind of the next step of evolvements that you want to get involved in. It sounded like you would like to go there at some point, but I just want to say, hey, even with that, if you're already going to go down and, hey, I'm going to race a car, you might as, if you're a veteran, hit, Warriors2Racers so that you can get these discounts and these things, and then find out from there. And obviously the program's growing so much. I mean, Josh Racing just came into effect because, he finally got a shop and all this stuff. There's a lot of things that are moving parts, right. A lot of dreams and things, but at least touch bases and find out the route for you. The best path that you can go is by contacting these organizations and these great things. So any last things you want to add to that, Ed? I love it, man.
Yeah. Just one last thing. We are working to get grants and that kind of thing. And so that, the travel piece and we can at least discount the cost of entry fees and that kind of thing. The one thing that we're kind of committed not to do is to buy the veteran all the safety equipment. And that's because there's so much large variety of what personal preferences are and stuff for the safety equipment that we're like, it's too complicated. So, but we are working on getting those grants put in place to help defer the travel costs and the entry fees and that kind of stuff, so that hopefully in not too distant future, a veteran might just be able to race for free or for a highly discounted price with us. So.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, thanks a lot for being on the show, sharing this information. As things progress, come back on the show. Let's talk about it. Throw some cool word out there. Anything that sounds, if you want to share something on this show at another time, that's just coming up that's really cool, let's do it, because I love bringing this veteran support wherever it might be, and whatever you're dealing with as a veteran, this is one of those things that are just going to help you along the way.
Great. Thanks very much. Really appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Well, hey, it's interesting to me that, you could be doing whatever you want to be doing in life, and things can be not going your way, but you can still have hopes and dreams and doing some really incredible things. Thanks a lot, Gary, for the shout out. Appreciate that. It's good. And, when I think about all the different modalities and just different things that, thanks a lot for the shout out, Shannon. There's a lot of shout outs going on right now, but it's cool that there's so many modalities out there that are going to steer you in a direction that you yourself are kind of maybe on the verge of, hey, I maybe need to get out there and do something, but I just don't know where to do that. It's a great time for you to kind of reach out, figure out where you are in your life. You might be all tore up and you might need some help and support in other directions. And that's why there's so many packages here. That's why I have to thank, the PTSD Foundation of America, Warrior Built Foundation, Recon Chief Incorporated, another race industry piece that is going in different directions. And then the Veterans Transition Resource Center right here. This is where the show is being produced. This is where it's coming out of. Brian Colburn, I got to thank him all the time because he's behind the scene, pushing the buttons, making things happen. SitchRadio.org, and just so many other cool things that are always going on. And of course the podcast, Combat Vet Vision. Thanks for making this even possible, Brian, for all that good stuff. And here we're going to come on right now. Feed drops here in a sec. Brian's going to come down here and analyze the show, but it's incredible to have these nonprofit orgs come on, talk about why they're doing things. And mostly these are veteran driven organizations that, just really want to get it on, but some of them aren't. Some of them are, and it's a business too. Obviously, they're trying to make some money so that they can, support the elements. But most of all, the motivation is to support the veteran with a discounted way of living their life in a more, adventurous, stimulating way that's taken away from your PTS in some way, shape, or form. So that's all I got for this show. And I'm going to bring Brian on for Feed Drops, which obviously he's got his own podcast called Feed Drops. If you check it out, He hasn't done a lot with it lately, but there's a couple shows in there that are built in, and you can listen on how to better improve your podcast if you're a podcaster, or if you want to be a podcaster. This is a great way to kind of do that. He's got a whole bunch of other podcasts that go out, like I'd Podcast That, if you want to look that up. But Brian Colburn is the reason why I do this, and he's always trying to tune me up. I'm only as fast as I can be, is like making things better. But Brian, go ahead, brother. Come on deck.
What's going on, Chief?
Good to hear from you. Good to see you. Thanks for being in the shop with me. We're in the same shop doing some stuff this lately.
Just a wall separates us.
That's right.
Hey man, good job today. I know the backstory, and it's good. I coach everybody to have 1 or 3 evergreen episodes ready to go. So if a guest falls through or something happens, you're not scrambling to put something together. You can pull an evergreen episode out of the can and get some valuable content out for your audience. I'm glad you didn't have to burn one, because as I understand, this guest came online last night, which is awesome. So not being able to guide them through a story with questions is completely understandable. And Ed was a great storyteller, man. It progressed on its own really, really well. Not every guest is as organized in thought. And what a great organization, man. They're doing some awesome things for our vets. So I really don't have much to say today, Chief.
Hey, that's always good. It's always good to see the advice. Not many times, and like you said, not many people will take a critical element and add it to their show. But I love it that we get to kind of do this feed drops, because the public gets to see, who it is that's pushing the buttons behind the screen. And it also gets to see why this podcast can get better and how it's going to get better over time.
And on that note, I mean, in the service, we critiqued after action reports. We had our stuff torn apart in front of our peers day after day after day, mission after mission, training op after training op. So it's not strange that you're bringing this element to your show. The majority of the public, it would be very fearful for them to, have a live critique at the end of an episode. But, and I mean, I'm not overly harsh, but I'm honest with you. And I love it when you take that criticism and you put it into practice and put it into play, and your show gets a little better. Or, a future episode is going to benefit from that. And, I often refer to episode benefiting, but it's your audience that's benefiting. The more time and preparation we put into an episode, the more the audience is going to benefit from it. The more they're going to be able to take away, apply to their own life, find that resource they've been missing, looking for, needing, and to help them in whatever trials and tribulations they're experiencing in life. So it's awesome, man. Keep it up.
Yeah, it has been great. And even though, I do the feed drops on the show, behind, outside of the show, Brian and I, we spend a lot of time developing me and my skills and his skills. I mean, he learns, just by reading and doing some stuff, but I learned from actually learning from him, standing by and being like, hey, we need to do this and this and that. So there's a lot more that goes behind the scenes still throughout the week. And sometimes, weeks go, like this week, we didn't spend much time talking, so things didn't develop as much as they could have, but we're both busy. And we're doing our thing. But Brian, thanks for being here. Thanks for making this a possibility. And obviously, taking the time to teach me some other things outside of this. And, if you don't think you still have the opportunity to learn, and I thought I was done with learning when I got out of high school, and I said, hey, I'm just going to join the Navy and call it a day, because school was hard for me. I had dyslexia. It was difficult. I was thrown right back into school. You're right there in front of a desk learning a whole bunch of stuff again. You're never going to stop learning. So it's important to take on those learning capabilities and just see where they go and where they feel good on your pathway and your journey, wherever that might be. But thanks a lot, brother.
Absolutely. No worries, Chief. We'll see you next week.
So this is just a great example of another great organization that's out there, turning and burning. It's all the way on the East Coast. I'm so glad to get some organizations that are all over the country on the show to talk about whatever they want to talk about. Thanks to QRFup.org for suggesting Ed McLean come on my show and do this. And all the stuff that they put out. They put out a lot of information about a lot of other organizations that are doing awesome things. A lot of things. I'm heading to California this week to do a golf tournament for Graystar that's raising funds for the PTSD Foundation of America. Another guitar build. I'm wearing the guitar build for American Patriot Music Project shirt. Back a couple months ago when we were at Warrior building guitars for, I think it was 12 or 14 vets, maybe 16 vets. But it was such a great organization doing that. They're going to have another guitar build October, November timeframe. And speaking of food, you know, that the racing organizations need, I'm looking forward to Recon Chief Incorporated. Mike DeLeon, he's known as the food bender. He's working on a food truck and putting together this whole off-road food truck that's really going to be able to be fully capable of all kinds of different things. And I think it's going to have like 6 smokers on. I don't know, three smokers that can handle all kinds of smoking. So that barbecue development's in the works. So there's just so many cool things. So when I hear about racing, when I hear about food, when I hear about, you know, all these different opportunities, a lot of things going hand in hand. So until next time, we'll talk to you later. Strength and honor. Out.
The only way, and we need nothing more. The only way, together forever, that's for sure.